The SaltDipped podcast, taking life, business, and adventure with just a pinch of salt. Good morning, and welcome to the first installment of the SaltDipped podcast. I want to take this opportunity just to sort of walk through a little bit of where this has come from and what you can expect with engaging in listening to this podcast. So first and foremost, my name is Tamsin Haley. I became an entrepreneur almost 8 years ago when I started my business, Social Happiness. There's been a couple of other business adventures since then. And in fact, we've actually rebranded now in 2026 for Social Happiness. You can find us online as Digital Happiness, and that would be at digitalhappiness.co.za. So it's a digital marketing agency, and it's enabled me to just get in touch with so many different people around the world and different businesses and learn about these different entrepreneurial journeys that people are on, and often the lives that sit behind the business journey that we are connected with, and how we're trying to balance everything. I think one of the things I really admire about entrepreneurs as well is they're not afraid to be beginners or learners later on in life. Like, you definitely have to have some gumption to become successful really in this space. There's that fear of failure that I think a lot of us sit with, which entrepreneurs just seem to grab by the horns and tackle in a different way. And I myself am no different. So a couple of years ago, I was at a business conference. It was a big leap for me. It was the first time I decided to go to an international convention and find a way to make it work to grow my business. So it was all very big, very overwhelming, and amazing and exciting, and the people are great, you know. And then they announced that the next convention would take place in Hawaii. And it's interesting how that little bit of information reminded me that as a teenager and as a tween really, so even before I was 13, I just wanted to surf. I had posters of surfers all over my bedroom. I wore Hang 10. I loved Billabong. And it's all I wanted. But there was a Roxy Learn to Surf school, which took place a couple of summers when I was younger. And we were living out on the West Coast. My parents drove all the way from there to bring me through to Strand, which is ironically now my surf spot, but so that I could try it. And I really did love it. It wasn't particularly good those first couple of times, but I loved it. So what we did from that point, well, and then that was it. You know, I didn't have anybody around me who was surfing. We had friends and family, but you know, they would always go away to Elan's Bay or to Jeffreys Bay. It felt like there wasn't really an opportunity where I was living in Saldanha, at least not at the time. But now, hearing that we were going to be heading to Hawaii, I made the decision that there was absolutely no way I could be in Hawaii and not know how to surf, at least stand on a surfboard. That was my goal. And I literally went back to my hotel room, booked the ticket for the next year right then and there, and I then researched where I could go and learn to surf. And I started picking that up at the beginning of 2024. And by the time we got to Waikiki Beach in November 2024, I could stand a little bit. I had just started learning to catch green waves rather than broken waves, and just as well because it was a kilometer paddle out to the break. It was a reef break, which I had never surfed before. I was only surfing beach breaks. So if you don't know what those are, beach breaks when the waves break on the beach, and a reef break when there's a reef in the water and the waves break over it. That's why you can sometimes see breaks happening quite far out in the ocean. That would typically be a reef break. And I say that, and maybe I'm wrong as well. See, still learning. I was very fortunate that I was introduced to a very experienced surfer, Mark Garber, who was happy enough to have someone so beginner head out with him, and I was able to surf Waikiki. So, dream enabled. But surfing and learning to surf has taught me so many different things and life lessons, and I think things that we can bring into our everyday. And that's where this podcast comes from a little bit. That first surf lesson, I sent a video note on WhatsApp to my best friend afterwards. And I mean, literally some of the first words are right. I had one nip slip, I fell off the board, but I actually stood, and I'm loving it. And I'm so happy I've gone and done this. And the way I presented it to her message back was, oh my gosh, you were so funny. And I thought, you know what, let's just stick this on social media and let's see what happens. What's been really interesting is I've been doing a little surf report every time I go into the water. And sometimes I forget because I've now got a group of amazing friends that I surf with as well. And we get a coffee afterwards, and then I just post some pictures. But there are so many people who have walked up to me at different networking events, who the first time I meet them, even sometimes, and they say, I love following your surf reports. So there's something about these messages that are connecting with people. And I thought, if we start doing it in a more structured manner, if we get to talk about it for more than just a minute, because that's kind of what I'm doing. It's a quick minute snapshot so that it works well on social media. How much more depth can we get into it? Because there's so many lessons that I've learned, not just about surfing, but about life and about business while I've been in the water. And that's what I want to be sharing with you in this podcast. So how am I making this happen? First of all, these are pre-recorded. I'm sitting here, it's December. We're about to get ready for the close of business, but you'll be listening to this podcast as I launch it on the 14th of January, 2026. The reason why I'm pre-recording is I want to make sure that there is a consistency to these efforts. If I plan far enough ahead, I can make sure it happens, because I don't want to half-ass this. I want to make sure that if I'm dedicated to doing a bi-weekly podcast, that you are getting a bi-weekly podcast to listen to. So these are going to go out on the same day, the same time, every 2 weeks. It's pre-planned already for the year for 2026. You are going to be hearing sessions like this where it's just going to be me talking, and I'm going to talk you through the different topics and lessons and ideas that I have. Use them, lose them, don't agree, that's fine. It's my point of view, and I've got no problem. If you want to also just drop me messages or comments and let me know what you think, or if you think differently, that's great. Tell me. I want to learn as well. I'm constantly wanting to learn, and I can only do that when I get information and feedback, right? And then I'm also going to be interviewing other business owners, and you'll hear that there's a theme of water all the way through it. I'm not expecting everybody to be happy and love the ocean like I do, but we're going to be talking water because I think there's so much in the idea of flow and energy that we can get from these conversations that really does apply to life and business as a whole. And I'll go into some of those in my water thoughts and experiences as well. Now, some of the interviews that I'm going to have, there will be some more information about events as well. We've got some big events planned for 2026 where I'm going to be co-hosting events with other business owners all around marketing and business growth. That is the focus. And what we want to do is create spaces where we're helping as many businesses as possible grow and develop. That connects back in with my why as to why do I do what I do. I fully believe that businesses are the power and the churn that is going to allow economies of the world to change. I don't believe that government or politicians are really there or interested in us at all, not from that perspective, or not where they can drive massive change. Sometimes top down really just doesn't work that well. We need to go from a bottom up approach. And all of my businesses that I have, so I've got the digital marketing agency, which is the easiest one to explain at this point in time from this regard, is that if we help businesses grow, so we do better marketing, we attract more sales, we attract more customers, and they're able to grow. The next step from there is that they're able to hire more staff, which means that we're putting salaries back into the local economies around businesses. Even if those businesses are working remotely, like my team does, my team is situated all across South Africa for social happiness or digital happiness. I'm getting used to my new brand name still. That's okay because it has an impact on people's lives. And that's what we want to do. Whether that's local here in South Africa for us or international, we've got a number of international clients that we love working with as well. It doesn't matter to me. All of that churns change. Second business is a publication house, and we're really focusing in on publishing entrepreneurs' books. So nonfiction, business focused, because it's such an amazing way to share knowledge and information and pitch yourself as an expert. Consumers want to know who they're working with. They want to feel looked after. They want to have a relationship. So we can only do that when we arrive in the space and connect with them and making sure that they know who we are. And my third business is human energy. And that's really focusing on how people and their energy work consistently, work well within businesses. Now, that can be the entrepreneur's energy, it could be the team's energy, it could be each individual employee's energy. The thing is that we need to be conscious of it, and there are great ways that you can build business while being conscious of your team's energy. So all of that feeds back into growing the economy, and we're going to be hearing a lot from my interviewees as well as to what it is that makes them tick and grow, and how are they helping businesses grow. what is their why, what are they striving towards, and what are those lessons that they've learned. So yes, that is going to be the crux of it. I look forward to sharing this with you. So expect business talk, expect life talk, expect thoughts and life lessons, especially if we've got sessions where I'm just talking to you. But we're going to have some really good golden nuggets out of those visitors as well. So you're more than welcome to sign up for the newsletter on this. If you do, you will get the podcast straight into your inbox every time it is released, so you don't have to worry about going and finding it. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you get some really good alerts about it. And we're going to be distributing this podcast. There was a bit of a royal we there. I will be distributing this podcast in a number of different places where you would be comfortable listening to it. So if you also can't find it in your favorite podcasting space, and that's where you would like it to be, please do reach out to me and let me know about that, because then I can make a plan to make that happen. Can't help if I don't know, so please feel free to reach out. So I hope that you're looking forward to an amazing 2026 with me as we get launched into this space. I'm learning as I go in a podcast. So again, a beginner in a new space. I'm very excited to be going on this journey. I am leaning on a couple of years of radio experience from when I was a student. So, just a couple of years ago, hoping that some of it comes back to me quite naturally. And I really am excited about the growth that this journey alone is going to take me on. And I will share that with you as well as I learn and figure things out. Otherwise, I will see you again in 2 weeks. I hope that you have a great business success, that you're looking after yourself, you're getting some great downtime and time with family and friends as well, until we speak again and you get to meet my first interviewee. All right, so keep tuned and we will see you soon.